Most people imagine the Wild West as something fading, dust settling, gunslingers riding off into the sunset. But what if we've been looking at it backwards? What if Red Dead 3 didn't take place at the end of an era, but at the very height of its rise? When everything was still uncertain, when anyone with a gun, a plan, or a little bit of luck could rewrite the story. This isn't about telling another tragic tale of outlaws past their prime. It's about designing a game where the world is wide open and no one's laid claim to it yet. Where every system, every law, every relationship, every dusty trail is waiting to be shaped, broken, or bought. Therefore, this video isn't going to be about story beats or new characters. We already had Arthur Morgan, and that bar is impossibly high. So instead, I want to show you my dream version of this game, how it should feel to play, gameplay systems, dynamic mechanics, living towns, growing economies, and yes, we're going to talk about how Red Dead Online somehow made being an outlaw feel like doing your taxes for some reason. So give me 8 minutes. Let me take you to the West that could have been, the one we've never played before. You know what made Red Dead Redemption 2 unforgettable? Well, it wasn't just Arthur Morgan's story. It was that deep, aching sense that the world around him was slipping away. The frontier was dying. The wild was being fenced in. But what if we flipped that completely? My dream Red Dead 3 doesn't mourn the end of the West. It celebrates its birth. I mean, imagine a world not shrinking but exploding outward. Towns rising out of dust, railroads pushing deeper into untamed landscapes. Every corner of the map feels temporary because it is. Nothing is settled yet. Power isn't owned. It's still up for grabs. This is the golden age of the West, when legends weren't fading, they were being forged. The world itself should reflect that raw ambition. Border towns overflowing with gold prospectors and pickpockets. Dense forests hiding bootleg lumber camps. Gambling riverboats drifting down wide open bayous. And cities? Not sleepy one-street towns, but full-blown frontier boom towns bursting at the seams. Barely held together by some grit, greed, and of course some whiskey. And since we're not shackled to historical accuracy, we can finally let the world breathe a little more fantasy. Early steam tech, experimental weapons, and shady inventors trying to sell miracle devices that explode more often than they work. Because in this version of the West, it's not about surviving the end of an era, it's about grabbing a piece of it before someone else does. It's going to be volatile, alive, and utterly unpredictable, and if the world is constantly changing, then the gameplay has to evolve with it. Now, if Red Dead 3 takes place in a world that's still being carved out, raw, dangerous, and full of potential, then the gameplay needs to feel just as alive, just as unpredictable. Not just a big map, but a world that reacts to everything you do. Not in scripted ways, but systemic ones. You rob a train, while that company starts hiring more guards. The local law doesn't just chase you, they adapt. Block roads, interrogate townsfolk. Send someone to follow you from a distance, maybe. You feel watched because you should be. Now, imagine you help a struggling settlement fend off a gang. That one action should spark a ripple effect. Maybe new settlers arrive, a blacksmith opens shop, a tiny boom town might begin. But with growth comes risk, and other gangs notice the money flowing in, so you didn't just defend a town, you accidentally turned it into a target. Now that's the gameplay loop that I dream of. A West that remembers, learns, and evolves. NPCs shouldn't just feel like they exist, they should actually matter. A store clerk that you saved might slip you insider info on a convoy, or a sheriff you humiliated could leave town and come back 10 hours later with a posse. I mean, relationships aren't just for cutscenes, they should be systems. People talk, they lie, they hold grudges, and this time you're not just joining a gang, you're building one. Start with nobodies, a washed up tracker, a twitchy safecracker, a former Pinkerton looking for redemption or revenge. Give them roles, build loyalty, and shape them into something dangerous. Or don't. I mean, let them fight, let them steal from you, let betrayal hurt, and as your gang grows, so does your influence. Towns start bending to your will, corrupt politicians want your favor, you control trade routes, supply lines, maybe even elections. But the more power that you gain, the more the world resists. Rivals will form, the feds start sniffing around, townsfolk grow uneasy. You're not just playing the game, you're completely disturbing the balance. This isn't about collecting icons on a map, it's about rewriting the whole story. Now for the elephant in the room. Red Dead Online should have been incredible. The bones were there, a rich, immersive world, Rockstar's unmatched attention to detail, and an entire era just begging to be explored with your friends. But somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling like a frontier and started feeling like a second job. On the other hand, GTA Online gives you chaos, sure, but more importantly, it gives you agency. You build a criminal empire, you buy properties, launch heists, customize everything from your weapons to your getaway car. You get to decide what kind of criminal you are, and the world responds with different opportunities. Red Dead Online, on the other hand, well, you make a delivery, you get paid a few dollars, and ride halfway across the map for your next underwhelming payout. The missions were super repetitive, the rewards were very minimal, and progression felt more like a slow walk through mud than an actual journey of ambition. It wanted to be immersive, and it forgot to be engaging. Yes, Red Dead's world is slower, more grounded, but grounded doesn't have to mean empty. A frontier world full of potential should let you shape your legend. Build a camp into a hideout, create a crew, compete over territory, get involved in the economy, the politics, crime, not just fetch quests and bounty runs. GTA Online thrives because it's constantly evolving. It keeps players coming back with so many new updates that add new layers of fantasy and control. It knows what players want, tools to express themselves. Red Dead Online, by contrast, feels frozen, afraid to step outside its own tone. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be one or the other. A Western setting can offer serious storytelling and dynamic, creative freedom. It's not just about jetpacks or flying horses. It's about giving players meaningful decisions. Let them build gangs, take over towns, disrupt trade routes, broker peace, or wage all-out war. Red Dead 3 has a chance to learn from this. The next online experience should feel like you're part of a living, dangerous world, not just surviving in it, but shaping it. Because the West wasn't just about grit and honor, it was about opportunity, and Red Dead Online never let us seize it. The story of Arthur Morgan will always stand on its own. We don't need to rewrite the wheel. What we do need is a world that finally lives up to the freedom that it promises. Red Dead 3, in my dream version, isn't about marking icons off a map, it's about creating something that can't be marked. A living, breathing frontier, a shifting power struggle, a sandbox where everything you do means something. We've already seen Rockstar build so many unforgettable characters. Now it's time to build a world that's just as unforgettable, even when no one's talking. Now, if you've made it this far, let me know in the comments. What does your dream Red Dead 3 look like? What mechanics do you want? What would make the West worth returning to? Not just once, but over and over again. If you liked my version of the West that might be coming, then hit like and subscribe if you want more deep dives into game worlds that could be. Thanks for watching, and here's to the West that we haven't seen yet.